most taxpayers would generally agree, I believe, that government transparency is a good thing. And in a Fox interview, Musk and his team that make up the Department of Government Efficiency, they spoke to the work that they've been doing here in the Trump second administration. The interview has shined a greater light on the amount of inefficiency and financial waste that's propagated by our federal government, and it is stunning. So, what is the DOGE team up to now? And what are their plans for the future? We're here to discuss this and more is Congressman Marlin Stutzman. He serves on the House Committee on Financial Services as well as the Budget Committee. He represents the 3rd Congressional District of the great state of Indiana. Congressman Stutzman, welcome back to Washington Watch. Great to see you, my friend.
Hey, great to see you, Jody. I'm coming from Cannon 404, which I believe was your old office when you were in Congress.
It sure was my old office. That's great. Well, I'm glad that you didn't have to cleanse it when you moved in there. Oh, goodness.
Great to see you.
Great to see you. All right. First of all, what was your overall reaction to the interview that Musk gave? What were your takeaways?
Well, I think, first of all, I'm glad that he's sharing with the American people what they're finding. Jody, I know you and I, longtime, fiscal conservatives, Christian conservatives serving in Washington, and we would often just beat our heads against the wall because we would be so frustrated with the amount of money that the government's spending. And, after a while, these billions and trillions of dollars just became numbers on paper. And we always knew instinctively that the government was spending money irresponsibly, not in places that the American people would ever approve by the majority. And but the fact that Elon Musk and that President Trump is allowing and asking Elon Musk and the DOGE team to go through the checkbook of the American taxpayer and find waste, fraud, and abuse. We used to say that number and we think, oh, it's probably, maybe 1%, 2%. We've all known that there's probably a lot more than that, and that's what Elon is finding. And so Elon sharing that with us and the American people, I think is so powerful. We need, God always asks us to be light in this world. Well, when there's problems, you need to shine a light on the problem. And that's what the DOGE team is doing, is shining a light on all of the spending. And we're seeing where our tax dollars are going. And it's just appalling. And so I applaud Elon, and I'm grateful to Elon because it also makes Congress's job and those of us on the Budget Committee, it makes our job easier because we can truly target where we need to cut spending and in Washington.
Well, I'm so thrilled that you're one of the few that actually serves on 2 finance-focused committees in the House, and so your role in the work that DOGE is doing is going to be incredibly important. We're so glad you're there. On the other side of the coin, though, we have Democrats. They're claiming that DOGE is going to harm aid for Social Security as well as a whole host of other things. I mean, they just keep throwing attacks out there that, at least in my opinion, are unfounded. But how do you respond to these kind of attacks coming from the left?
Interesting, because during the Budget Committee hearing, DOGE had just been starting doing their work. And so we were just finding out some of the pieces that we were seeing through USAID, and the fact that President Trump and Elon Musk decided just to shut down USAID shows you how bad, if it's that bad there, and of course it's easier to hide money away from us overseas than it is to hide it here in the United States. But the fact that there was so much ridiculousness going on with USAID, they shut it down. I told the Democrats, I said, look, if this is what you're proud of, if you feel like these are the priorities of the American people, you should not have a problem with DOGE just telling all of us where our tax dollars are going, whether it's DEI programs in South America, or whether it's DEI programs in the Middle East, or a Sesame Street program for $20 million in Iraq. I mean, government program after government program spending money for LGBTQ programs. So it's like, if those are your priorities, why are you upset that the DOGE team is announcing those on their X page and social media, telling us what they're finding. I mean, if that's what you want
Good point.
done with federal tax dollars, then you shouldn't have a problem with it. But of course, they're screaming very loudly because I think they know otherwise.
Yeah, a great point. You know, it's interesting, and I want to move on to another topic, but Musk in the interview actually made a statement somewhere along the lines that what he is doing in DOGE is the biggest revolution since the original revolution in this country. I think probably it's kind of hard to argue against that. They're doing a great job. But if we can, let's move on to some other things happening there in Washington. President Trump issued an executive order earlier this week that directed federal agencies to protect our election integrity. Wow. What do you think of that one?
Again, I just applaud President Trump's. He's coming right out of the gate strong. And, if there's anybody that knows a little bit about election integrity, President Trump knows. And, what we saw happen during 2020, and I still don't believe the whole story has been revealed on the 2020 election. But the fact that we're just simply asking most states, states like Indiana, a lot of the conservative states require a photo ID to be able to vote. When you show up at the ballot box, you show your photo ID. Well, there's states like California, Illinois, New York, and others that don't have those requirements. And so we can't let just a few states that are populated, that are generally voting Democrat, manipulate the election turnout of who represents us in Washington, D.C., in Congress. And so if you look at the states that have strong election laws, they're usually getting the election counted pretty quickly within election night. But every race that we lost that kind of went into extra innings always seemed to fall to the Democrats in California and New York. And I just think that it's not too much to ask, and it's just common sense that you can show a photo ID when you go to vote. We all want our vote to count, and we want it to know that it's secure and that it's not going to be stolen by somebody. We're working with Pastor Lorenzo Sewell in Detroit, who has been coming to Washington, D.C., and is sharing with members of Congress that 50,000 votes roughly are estimated in Detroit to have been manipulated or stolen one way or the other. This is an African-American community that is, only asking and saying, look, please make sure our votes are counted. Well, people are taking advantage of them. And so what President Trump is doing is the right thing to do. And I believe that he's going to continue, and we need to continue to make sure that every vote counts, who's actually supposed to vote that's here as a citizen of the United States.
One vote cast, one vote counted. That's the way it ought to be. It's not that complicated. In fact, just minutes before the program started, Speaker Johnson sent out a text that Congress, you guys are going to be voting on the SAVE Act, the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, the SAVE Act, next week. So, again, this is a great move forward. Do you think it'll pass the House this year?
Well, it should, without, you would think there'd be bipartisan support. You would think that Democrats would want elections to be safe and secure for every American as well. But as we've been seeing on the House floor, even on, some of these bills that you would think, especially after the election, that there would be strong bipartisan support, the Democrats continue to double down. I mean, boys playing in girls' sports is one where they've doubled down on. And some of these that you'd think would be the most common sense pieces of legislation would have support from Democrats. So we'll see. But my guess is that their leadership will probably push pretty hard on the members not to vote for it, because this is their model. They have a model right now, and that's why they're screaming loudly about the money that is going overseas and other places, because I think they've been able to build a whole system that supports their political wing as well. So this has got to happen, and it is revolutionary, and it's time now more than
Congressman
ever.
Marlin Stutzman, thank you so much. We got to run. In fact, I think I see a picture I left in the office there behind you. If you would save that one for me. Have a great day.